This is the family history of Isaac. Abraham had a son named Isaac. When Isaac was 40 years old, he married Rebekah. Rebekah was from northwest Mesopotamia. She was Bethuel's daughter and the sister of Laban the Aramean. Isaac's wife could not have children. So Isaac prayed to the Lord for her. The Lord heard Isaac's prayer, and Rebekah became pregnant. While she was pregnant, the baby struggled inside her. She asked, "Why is this happening to me?" Then she went to get an answer from the Lord. The Lord said to her, "Two nations are in your body. Two groups of people will be taken from you. One group will be stronger than the other. The older will serve the younger." And when the time came, Rebekah gave birth to twins. The first baby was born red. His skin was like a hairy robe. So he was named Esau. When the second baby was born, he was holding on to Esau's heel. So that baby was named Jacob. Isaac was 60 years old when they were born. When the boys grew up, Esau became a skilled hunter. He loved to be out in the fields. But Jacob was a quiet man. He stayed among the tents. Isaac loved Esau. Esau hunted the wild animals that Isaac enjoyed eating. But Rebekah loved Jacob. One day, Jacob was boiling a pot of vegetable soup. Esau came in from hunting in the fields. He was weak from hunger. So Esau said to Jacob, "Let me eat some of that red soup. I am weak with hunger." That is why people call him Edom. But Jacob said, "You must sell me your rights as the firstborn son." Esau said, "I am almost dead from hunger. If I die, all of my father's wealth will not help me." But Jacob said, "First, promise me that you will give it to me." So Esau made a promise to Jacob. In this way he sold his part of their father's wealth to Jacob. Then Jacob gave Esau bread and vegetable soup. Esau ate and drank and then left. So Esau showed how little he cared about his rights as the firstborn son. When Isaac was old, his eyes were not good. He could not see clearly. One day he called his older son Esau to him. Isaac said, "Son." Esau answered, "Here I am." Isaac said, "I am old. I do not know when I might die, so take your bow and arrows and go hunting in the field. Kill an animal for me to eat. Prepare the tasty food that I love. Bring it to me and I will eat. Then I will bless you before I die." So Esau went out in the field to hunt. Rebekah was listening as Isaac said this to his son Esau. Rebekah said to her son Jacob, "Listen, I heard your father talking to your brother Esau. Your father said, 'Kill an animal. Prepare some tasty food for me to eat. Then I will bless you before the Lord before I die.' So obey me, my son. Do what I tell you. Go out to our goats and bring me 2 young ones. I will prepare them just the way your father likes them. Then you will take the food to your father, and he will bless you before he dies." But Jacob said to his mother Rebekah, "My brother Esau is a hairy man. I am smooth. If my father touches me, he will know I am not Esau. Then he will not bless me. He will place a curse on me because I tried to trick him." So Rebekah said to him, "If your father puts a curse on you, I will accept the blame. Just do what I said. Get the goats for me." So Jacob went out and got 2 goats and brought them to his mother. Then she cooked them in the unique way Isaac enjoyed. She took the best clothes of her older son Esau that were in the house. She put them on the younger son Jacob. She took the skins of the goats, and she put them on Jacob's hands and neck. Then she gave Jacob the tasty food and the bread she had made. Jacob went in to his father and said, "Father." And his father said, "Yes, my son, who are you?" Jacob said to him, "I am Esau, your first son. I have done what you told me. Now sit up and eat some meat of the animal I hunted for you. then bless me." But Isaac asked his son, "How did you find and kill the animal so quickly?" Jacob answered, "Because the Lord your God led me to find it." Then Isaac said to Jacob, "Come near so I can touch you, my son. If I can touch you, I will know if you are really my son Esau." So Jacob came near to Isaac his father. Isaac touched him and said, "Your voice sounds like Jacob's voice, but your hands are hairy like the hands of Esau." Isaac did not know it was Jacob because his hands were hairy like Esau's hands. So Isaac blessed Jacob. Isaac asked, "Are you really my son Esau?" Jacob answered, "Yes, I am." Then Isaac said, "Bring me the food. I will eat it and bless you." So Jacob gave him the food, and Isaac ate. Jacob gave him wine, and he drank. Then Isaac said to him, "My son, come near and kiss me." So Jacob went to his father and kissed him. Isaac smelled Esau's clothes and blessed him. Isaac said, "The smell of my son is like the smell of the field that the Lord has blessed. May God give you plenty of rain and good soil. Then you will have plenty of grain and wine. May nations serve you. May peoples bow down to you. May you be master over your brothers. May your mother's sons bow down to you. May everyone who curses you be cursed, and may everyone who blesses you be blessed." Isaac finished blessing Jacob. Then, just as Jacob left his father Isaac, Esau came in from hunting. Esau also prepared some tasty food and brought it to his father. He said, "Father, rise and eat the food that your son killed for you. Then bless me." Isaac asked, "Who are you?" He answered, "I am your son, your firstborn son, Esau." Then Isaac trembled greatly. He said, "Then who was it that hunted the animals and brought me food before you came? I ate it, and I blessed him, and it is too late now to take back my blessing." When Esau heard the words of his father, he let out a loud and bitter cry. He said to his father, "Bless me! Me too, my father!" But Isaac said, "Your brother came and tricked me. He has taken your blessing." Esau said, "Jacob is the right name for him. He has tricked me these 2 times. He took away my share of everything you own, and now he has taken away my blessing." Then Esau asked, "Haven't you saved a blessing for me?" Isaac answered, "I gave Jacob the power to be master over you, and all his brothers will be his servants. And I kept him strong with grain and wine. There is nothing left to give you, my son." But Esau continued, "Do you have only one blessing, father? Bless me too, father." Then Esau began to cry aloud. Isaac said to him, "You will live far away from the best land, far from the rain. You will live by using your sword and be a slave to your brother. But when you struggle, you will break free from him." After that, Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing from Isaac. Esau thought to himself, "My father will soon die, and I will be sad for him. After that, I will kill Jacob." Rebekah heard about Esau's plan to kill Jacob. So she sent for Jacob. She said to him, "Listen, your brother Esau is comforting himself by planning to kill you. So son, do what I say. My brother Laban is living in Haran. Go to him at once. Stay with him for a while until your brother is not so angry. In time, your brother will not be angry. He will forget what you did to him. Then I will send a servant to bring you back. I do not want to lose both of my sons on the same day." Then Rebekah said to Isaac, "I am tired of Hittite women. If Jacob marries one of these Hittite women here in this land, I will want to die." Isaac called Jacob and blessed him. Then Isaac commanded him, "You must not marry a Canaanite woman. Go to the house of Bethuel, your mother's father, in northwest Mesopotamia. Laban, your mother's brother, lives there. Marry one of his daughters. May God all-powerful bless you and give you many children. May you become the father of many peoples. May the Lord give you and your descendants the blessing of Abraham. Then you may own the land where you are now living as a stranger. This is the land God gave to Abraham. So Isaac sent Jacob to northwest Mesopotamia. Jacob went to Laban, the brother of Rebekah. Bethuel, the Aramean, was the father of Laban and Rebekah, and Rebekah was the mother of Jacob and Esau. Esau learned that Isaac had blessed Jacob and sent him to northwest Mesopotamia. Jacob went to find a wife there. Esau also learned that Isaac had commanded Jacob not to marry a Canaanite woman. And Esau learned that Jacob had obeyed his father and mother. He had gone to northwest Mesopotamia. So Esau saw that his father Isaac did not want his sons to marry Canaanite women. Now Esau already had wives. But he went to Ishmael, son of Abraham, and he married Mahalath, Ishmael's daughter. Mahalath was the sister of Nebaioth. Jacob left Beersheba and set out for Haran. He came to a place and spent the night there because the sun had set. He found a stone there and laid his head on it to go to sleep. Jacob dreamed that there was a ladder resting on the earth and reaching up into heaven, and he saw angels of God going up and coming down the ladder. And then Jacob saw the Lord standing above the ladder. The Lord said, "I am the Lord, the God of Abraham, your grandfather, and I am the God of Isaac. I will give you and your descendants the land on which you are now sleeping. Your descendants will be as many as the dust of the earth. They will spread west and east, north and south. All the families of the earth will be blessed through you and your descendants. I am with you, and I will protect you everywhere you go. And I will bring you back to this land. I will not leave you until I have done what I have promised you." Then Jacob woke from his sleep. He said, "Surely the Lord is in this place, but I did not know it." Jacob was afraid. He said, "This place frightens me. It is surely the house of God and the gate of heaven." Jacob rose early in the morning. He took the stone he had slept on and set it up on its end. Then he poured olive oil on the top of it. At first, the name of that city was Luz, but Jacob named it Bethel. Then Jacob made a promise. He said, "I want God to be with me and protect me on this journey. I want God to give me food to eat and clothes to wear. Then I will be able to return in peace to my father's house. If the Lord does these things, he will be my God. This stone which I have set up on its end will be the house of God, and I will give God 1/10 of all he gives me." Then Jacob continued his journey. He came to the land of the people of the east. He looked and saw a well in the field. 3 flocks of sheep were lying nearby, because they drank water from this well. A large stone covered the mouth of the well. All the flocks would gather there. The shepherds would roll the stone away from the well and water the sheep. Then they would put the stone back in its place. Jacob said to the shepherds there, "My brothers, where are you from?" They answered, "We are from Haran." Then Jacob asked, "Do you know Laban, grandson of Nahor?" They answered, "We know him." Then Jacob asked, "How is he?" They answered, "He is well. Look, his daughter Rachel is coming now with his sheep." Jacob said, "But look, it is still the middle part of the day. It is not time for the sheep to be gathered for the night. So give them water and let them go back into the pasture." But they said, "We cannot do that until all the flocks are gathered. Then we will roll away the stone from the mouth of the well and water the sheep." While Jacob was talking with the shepherds, Rachel came with her father's sheep. It was her job to take care of the sheep. Then Jacob saw Laban's daughter Rachel and Laban's sheep. So he went to the well and rolled the stone from its mouth. Then he watered Laban's sheep. Now Laban was the brother of Rebekah, Jacob's mother. Then Jacob kissed Rachel and cried. He told her that he was from her father's family. He said that he was the son of Rebekah. So Rachel ran home and told her father. When Laban heard the news about his sister's son Jacob, Laban ran to meet him. Laban hugged him, kissed him, and brought him to his house. Jacob told Laban everything that had happened. Then Laban said, "You are my own flesh and blood." So Jacob stayed there a month. Then Laban said to Jacob, "You are my relative, but it is not right for you to keep on working for me without pay. What would you like me to pay you?" Now Laban had 2 daughters. The older was Leah, and the younger was Rachel. Leah had weak eyes, but Rachel was very beautiful. Jacob loved Rachel. So he said to Laban, "Let me marry your younger daughter Rachel. If you will, I will work 7 years for you." Laban said, "It would be better for her to marry you than someone else. So stay here with me." So Jacob worked for Laban 7 years so he could marry Rachel. But they seemed to him like just a few days. This was because he loved Rachel very much. After 7 years, Jacob said to Laban, "Give me Rachel so that I may marry her. The time I promised to work for you is over." So Laban gave a feast for all the people there. That evening, Laban brought his daughter Leah to Jacob. Jacob and Leah had intimate relations together. Laban gave his slave girl Zilpah to his daughter to be her servant. In the morning, Jacob saw that he had had intimate relations with Leah. He said to Laban, "What have you done to me? I worked hard for you so that I could marry Rachel. Why did you trick me?" Laban said, "In our country, we do not allow the younger daughter to marry before the older daughter, but complete the full week of the marriage ceremony with Leah. I will give you Rachel to marry also, but you must serve me another 7 years." So Jacob did this and completed the week with Leah. Then Laban gave him his daughter Rachel as a wife. Laban gave his slave girl Bilhah to his daughter Rachel to be her servant. So Jacob had intimate relations with Rachel also, and Jacob loved Rachel more than Leah. Jacob worked for Laban for another 7 years. The Lord saw that Jacob loved Rachel more than Leah. So the Lord made it possible for Leah to have children. But Rachel did not have any children. Leah became pregnant and gave birth to a son. She named him Reuben because she said, "The Lord has seen my troubles. Surely now my husband will love me." Leah became pregnant again and gave birth to another son. She named him Simeon. She said, "The Lord has heard that I am not loved, so he gave me this son." Leah became pregnant again and gave birth to another son. She named him Levi. Leah said, "Now surely my husband will be close to me. I have given him 3 sons." Then Leah gave birth to another son. She named him Judah. Leah named him this because she said, "Now I will praise the Lord." Then Leah stopped having children. Rachel saw that she was not giving birth to children for Jacob. So she envied her sister Leah. Rachel said to Jacob, "Give me children or I'll die." Jacob became angry with her. He said, "Can I do what only God can do? He is the one who has kept you from having children." Then Rachel said, "Here is my slave girl Bilhah. Have physical relations with her so she can give birth to a child for me. Then I can have my own family through her." So Rachel gave Bilhah, her slave girl, to Jacob as a wife, and he had physical relations with her. She became pregnant and gave Jacob a son. Rachel said, "God has declared me innocent. He has listened to my prayer and has given me a son." So Rachel named this son Dan. Bilhah became pregnant again and gave Jacob a second son. Rachel said, "I have struggled hard with my sister, and I have won." So she named that son Naphtali. Leah saw that she had stopped having children, so she gave her slave girl Zilpah to Jacob as a wife. Then Zilpah had a son. Leah said, "I am lucky," so she named her son Gad. Zilpah gave birth to another son. Leah said, "I am very happy. Now women will call me happy." So she named that son Asher. During the wheat harvest, Reuben went into the field and found some mandrake plants. He brought them to his mother Leah. But Rachel said to Leah, "Please give me some of your son's mandrakes." Leah answered, "You have already taken away my husband. Now you are trying to take away my son's mandrakes." But Rachel answered, "If you will give me your son's mandrakes, you may sleep with Jacob tonight." When Jacob came in from the field that night, Leah went out to meet him. She said, "You will have intimate relations with me tonight. I have paid for you with my son's mandrakes." So Jacob slept with her that night. Then God answered Leah's prayer, and she became pregnant again. She gave birth to a fifth son. Leah said, "God has given me what I paid for, because I gave my slave girl to my husband." So Leah named her son Issachar. Leah became pregnant again and gave birth to a sixth son. She said, "God has given me a fine gift. Now surely Jacob will honor me because I have given him 6 sons." So Leah named the son Zebulun. Later, Leah gave birth to a daughter. She named her Dinah. Then God remembered Rachel and answered her prayer. God made it possible for her to have children. She became pregnant and gave birth to a son. She said, "God has taken away my shame." She named him Joseph. Rachel said, "I wish the Lord would give me another son." After the birth of Joseph, Jacob said to Laban, "Now let me go to my own home and country. Give me my wives and my children, and let me go. I have earned them by working for you. You know that I served you well." Laban said to him, "If I have pleased you, please stay. I know the Lord has blessed me because of you. Tell me what I should pay you, and I will give it to you." Jacob answered, "You know that I have worked hard for you. Your flocks have grown while I cared for them. When I came, you had little. Now you have much. Every time I did something for you, the Lord blessed you. But when will I be able to do something for my own family?" Laban asked, "Then what should I give you?" Jacob answered, "I do not want you to give me anything. Just do this one thing. Then I will come back and take care of your flocks. Today let me go through all your flocks of white sheep and black goats. I will take every spotted or speckled lamb. I will take every black lamb and every spotted or speckled goat. That will be my pay. In the future, you can easily see if I am honest. You can come to look at my flocks. If I have any goat that is not speckled or spotted, or any sheep that is not black, you will know I stole it." Laban answered, "Agreed, we will do what you ask." But that day Laban took away all the male goats that had streaks or spots, and he took all the speckled and spotted female goats, all those that had white on them, and he took all the black sheep. He told his sons to watch over them. Laban took these animals to a place that was 3 days' journey away from Jacob. Jacob took care of all the animals that were left. So Jacob cut green branches from poplar, almond, and plane trees. He peeled off some of the bark so that the branches had white stripes on them. He put the branches in front of the flocks at the watering places. When the animals came to drink, they also mated there. So the goats mated in front of the branches. Then the young that were born were streaked, speckled, or spotted. Jacob separated the young animals from the others, and he made them face the streaked and dark animals in Laban's flock. Jacob kept his animals separate from Laban's. When the stronger animals in the flock were mating, Jacob put the branches before their eyes. This was so the animals would mate near the branches. But when the weaker animals mated, Jacob did not put the branches there. So the animals born from the weaker animals were Laban's, and the animals born from the stronger animals were Jacob's. In this way, Jacob became very rich. He had large flocks, many male and female servants, camels and donkeys. One day, Jacob heard Laban's sons talking. They said, "Jacob has taken everything our father owned. Jacob has become rich in this way." Then Jacob noticed that Laban was not as friendly as he had been before. The Lord said to Jacob, "Go back to the land where your ancestors lived. I will be with you." So Jacob told Rachel and Leah to meet him in the field where he kept his flocks. He said to them, "I have seen that your father is not as friendly with me as he used to be. But the God of my father has been with me. You both know that I have worked as hard as I could for your father. But he cheated me. He has changed my pay 10 times. But God has not allowed your father to harm me." At one time Laban said, "You can have all the speckled goats as your pay." After that, all the animals gave birth to speckled young ones. But then Laban said, "You can have all the streaked goats as your pay." After that, all the animals gave birth to streaked babies. So God has taken the animals away from your father, and God has given them to me. I had a dream during the season when the animals were mating. I saw that the only male goats who were mating were streaked, speckled, or spotted. The angel of God spoke to me in that dream. He said, "Jacob." I answered, "Yes." The angel said, "Look, only the streaked, speckled, or spotted goats are mating. I have seen all the wrong things Laban does to you. I am the God who appeared to you at Bethel. There you poured olive oil on the stone you set up on end. There you made a promise to me. Now I want you to leave here. Go back to the land where you were born." Rachel and Leah answered Jacob, "Our father has nothing to give us when he dies. He has treated us like strangers. He sold us to you, and then he spent all of the money you paid for us. God took all this wealth from our father, and now it belongs to us and our children. So you do whatever God told you to do." So Jacob put his children and his wives on camels. Then they began their journey back to Isaac, his father. He lived in the land of Canaan. All the flocks of animals that Jacob owned walked ahead of them. He carried everything with him that he had gotten while he lived in northwest Mesopotamia. Laban was gone to cut the wool from his sheep. While he was gone, Rachel stole the idols of false gods that belonged to him. And Jacob tricked Laban the Aramean. He did not tell Laban he was leaving. Jacob and his family left quickly. They crossed the Euphrates River and traveled toward the mountains of Gilead. 3 days later, Laban learned that Jacob had run away. So Laban gathered his relatives and began to chase Jacob. After 7 days, Laban found him in the mountains of Gilead. That night, God came to Laban the Aramean in a dream. The Lord said, "Be careful. Do not say anything to Jacob, good or bad." So Laban caught up with Jacob. Now Jacob had made his camp in the mountains. So Laban and his relatives set up their camp in the mountains of Gilead. Laban said to Jacob, "What have you done? Why did you trick me? You took my daughters as if you had captured them in a war. Why did you run away without telling me? Why did you trick me? Why didn't you tell me? Then I could send you away with joy and singing. There would be the music of tambourines and harps. You did not even let me kiss my grandchildren and my daughters goodbye. You were very foolish to do this. I have the power to harm you. But last night the God of your father spoke to me. He warned me not to say anything to you, good or bad. I know you want to go back to your home. But why did you steal my idols? Jacob answered Laban, I left without telling you because I was afraid. I thought you would take your daughters away from me. If you find anyone here who has taken your idols, he will be killed. Your relatives will be my witnesses. You may look for anything that belongs to you. Take anything that is yours. Now Jacob did not know that Rachel had stolen Laban's idols. So Laban looked in Jacob's tent and in Leah's tent. He looked in the tent where the 2 slave women stayed, but he did not find his idols. When he left Leah's tent, he went into Rachel's tent. Rachel had hidden the idols inside her camel's saddle, and she was sitting on them. Laban looked through the whole tent, but he did not find them. Rachel said to her father, Father, don't be angry with me. I am not able to stand up before you. I am having my monthly period. So Laban looked through the camp, but he did not find his idols. Then Jacob became very angry. He said, What wrong have I done? What law have I broken to cause you to chase me? You have looked through everything I own, but you have found nothing that belongs to you. If you have found anything, show it to everyone. Put it in front of your relatives and my relatives. Then let them decide which one of us is right. I have worked for you now for 20 years. During all that time, none of the lambs and kids died during birth, and I have not eaten any of the male sheep from your flocks. Any time a sheep was killed by wild animals, I did not bring it to you. I made up for the loss myself. You made me pay for any animal that was stolen during the day or night. In the daytime, the sun took away my strength. At night, I was cold and could not sleep. I worked like a slave for you for 20 years. For the first 14 years, I worked to get your 2 daughters. The last 6 years, I worked to earn your animals. And during that time, you changed my pay 10 times. But the God of my father was with me. He is the God of Abraham and the God of Isaac. If God had not been with me, you would have sent me away with nothing. But he saw the trouble I had and the hard work I did. And last night God corrected you. Laban said to Jacob, These girls are my daughters. Their children belong to me, and these animals are mine. Everything you see here belongs to me. But I can do nothing to keep my daughters and their children. Let us make an agreement. Let us set up a pile of stones to remind us of our agreement. So Jacob took a large rock and set it up on its end. He told his relatives to gather rocks. So they took the rocks and piled them up. Then they ate beside the pile of rocks. Laban named that place in his language a pile to remind us. And Jacob gave the place the same name in Hebrew. Laban said to Jacob, This pile of rocks will remind us of the agreement between us. That is why the place was called a pile to remind us. It was also called Mizpah. This was because Laban said, Let the Lord watch over us while we are separated from each other. Remember that God is our witness. This is true even if no one else is around us. He will know if you harm my daughters or marry other women. Here is the pile of rocks that I have put between us. And here is the rock I set up on end. This pile of rocks and this rock set on end will remind us of our agreement. I will never go past this pile to hurt you, and you must never come to my side of them to hurt me. The God of Abraham is the God of Nahor and the God of their ancestors. Let God punish either of us if we break this agreement." So Jacob made a promise in the name of God. This was the God of his father Isaac. Then Jacob killed an animal and offered it as a sacrifice on the mountain. And he invited his relatives to share in the meal. After they finished eating, they spent the night on the mountain. Early the next morning, Laban kissed his grandchildren and his daughters. He blessed them, and then he left to return home. When Jacob also went his way, the angels of God met him. When Jacob saw them, he said, "This is the camp of God." So Jacob named that place Mahanaim. Jacob's brother Esau was living in the area called Seir, in the country of Edom. Jacob sent messengers to Esau. Jacob told the messengers, "Give this message to my master Esau. This is what Jacob, your servant, says. I have lived with Laban and have remained there until now. I have cattle, donkeys, flocks, and male and female servants. I send this message to you and ask you to accept us." The messengers returned to Jacob and said, "We went to your brother Esau. He is coming to meet you, and he has 400 men with him." Then Jacob was very afraid and worried. He divided the people who were with him into 2 camps. He also divided all the flocks, herds, and camels into 2 camps. Jacob thought, Esau might come and destroy one camp, but the other camp can run away and be saved. Jacob said, "God of my father Abraham, God of my father Isaac, Lord, you told me to return to my country and my family. You said that you would do good to me. I am not worthy of the kindness and continual goodness you have shown me. The first time I traveled across the Jordan River, I had only my walking stick. But now I own enough to have 2 camps. Please save me from my brother Esau. I am afraid he will come and kill all of us, even the mothers with the children. You said to me, 'I will do good to you. I will make your children as many as the sand of the seashore. There will be too many to count.'" Jacob stayed there for the night. He prepared a gift for Esau from what he had with him. It was 200 female goats and 20 male goats, 200 female sheep and 20 male sheep. There were 30 female camels and their young, 40 cows and 10 bulls, 20 female donkeys and 10 male donkeys. Jacob gave each separate flock of animals to one of his servants. Then he said to them, "Go ahead of me and keep some space between each herd." Jacob gave them their orders. To the servant with the first group of animals, he said, "My brother Esau will come to you. He will ask you, 'Whose servant are you? Where are you going? Whose animals are these?' Then you will answer, 'These animals belong to your servant Jacob. He sent them as a gift to you, my master, Esau, and Jacob also is coming behind us.'" Jacob ordered the second servant, the third servant, and all the other servants to do the same thing. He said, "Say the same thing to Esau when you meet him. Say, 'Your servant Jacob is coming behind us.'" Jacob thought, "If I send this gift ahead of me, maybe Esau will forgive me. Then when I see him, perhaps he will accept me." So Jacob sent the gift to Esau. But Jacob stayed that night in the camp. During the night, Jacob rose and crossed the Jabbok River at the crossing. He took his 2 wives, his 2 slave girls, and his 11 sons with him. He sent his family and everything he had across the river. But Jacob stayed behind alone. And a man came and wrestled with him until the sun came up. The man saw that he could not defeat Jacob. So he struck Jacob's hip and put it out of joint. Then the man said to Jacob, "Let me go, the sun is coming up." But Jacob said, "I will let you go if you will bless me." The man said to him, "What is your name?" And he answered, "Jacob." Then the man said, Your name will no longer be Jacob. Your name will now be Israel, because you have wrestled with God and with men, and you have won." Then Jacob asked him, "Please tell me your name." But the man said, "Why do you ask my name?" Then he blessed Jacob there. So Jacob named that place Peniel. He said, "I have seen God face to face, but my life was saved." Then the sun rose as he was leaving that place. Jacob was limping because of his leg. So even today, the people of Israel do not eat the muscle that is on the hip joint of animals. This is because Jacob was touched there. Jacob looked up and saw Esau coming. With him were 400 men. So Jacob divided his children among Leah, Rachel, and the 2 slave girls. Jacob put the slave girls with their children first. Then he put Leah and her children behind them. And he put Rachel and Joseph last. Jacob himself went out in front of them. He bowed down flat on the ground 7 times as he was walking toward his brother. But Esau ran to meet Jacob. Esau put his arms around him and hugged him. Then Esau kissed him, and they both cried. Esau looked up and saw the women and children. He asked, "Who are these people with you?" Jacob answered, "These are the children God has given me. God has been good to me, your servant." Then the 2 slave girls and their children came up to Esau. They bowed down flat on the earth before him. Then Leah and her children came up to Esau. They also bowed down flat on the earth. Last of all, Joseph and Rachel came up to Esau, and they too bowed down flat before him. Esau said, "I saw many herds as I was coming here. Why did you bring them?" Jacob answered, "They were to please you, my master." But Esau said, "I already have enough, my brother. Keep what you have." Jacob said, "No, please, if I have pleased you, then please accept the gift I give you. I am very happy to see your face again. It is like seeing the face of God because you have accepted me. So I beg you to accept the gift I give you. God has been very good to me, and I have more than I need." And because Jacob begged, Esau accepted the gift. Then Esau said, "Let us get going. I will travel with you." But Jacob said to him, "My master, you know that the children are weak, and I must be careful with my flocks and their young ones. If I force them to go too far in one day, all the animals will die. So, my master, you go on ahead of me, your servant. I will follow you slowly. I will let the animals and the children set the speed at which we travel. I will meet you, my master, in Edom." So Esau said, "Then let me leave some of my men with you." "No, thank you," said Jacob. "I only want to please you, my master." So that day Esau started back to Edom. But Jacob went to Succoth. There he built a house for himself, and he made shelters for his animals. That is why the place was named Succoth, meaning shelters. Jacob left northwest Mesopotamia, and he arrived safely at the city of Shechem in the land of Canaan. He camped east of the city. He bought a part of the field where he had camped. He bought it from the sons of Hamor father of Shechem for 100 pieces of silver. He built an altar there and named it after God, the God of Israel. God said to Jacob, "Go to the city of Bethel and live there. Make an altar to the God who appeared to you there. This was when you were running away from your brother Esau." So Jacob said to his family and to all who were with him, "Put away the foreign gods you have. Make yourselves clean and change your clothes. We will leave here and go to Bethel. There I will build an altar to God. He has helped me during my time of trouble. He has been with me everywhere I have gone." So they gave Jacob all the foreign gods they had, and they gave him the earrings they were wearing. He hid them under the great tree near the town of Shechem. Then Jacob and his sons left there. But God caused the people in the nearby cities to be afraid, so they did not follow the sons of Jacob. And Jacob and all the people who were with him went to Luz. It is now called Bethel. It is in the land of Canaan. There Jacob built an altar. He named the place Bethel after God, because God had appeared to him there. That was when he was running from his brother. Deborah, Rebekah's nurse, died and was buried under the oak tree at Bethel. They named that place Oak of Crying. When Jacob came back from northwest Mesopotamia, God appeared to him again. And God blessed him. God said to him, "Your name is Jacob, but you will not be called Jacob any longer. Your new name will be Israel." So he called him Israel. God said to him, "I am God all-powerful. Have many children and grow in number as a nation. You will be the ancestor of many nations and kings. I gave Abraham and Isaac land. I will give that same land to you and your descendants." Then God left him. Jacob set up a stone on edge in that place where God had talked to him, and he poured a drink offering and olive oil on it to make it special for God. And Jacob named the place Bethel. Jacob and his group left Bethel. Before they came to Ephrath, Rachel began giving birth to her baby, but she was having much trouble with this birth. When Rachel's nurse saw this, she said, "Don't be afraid, Rachel. You are giving birth to another son." Rachel gave birth to the son, but she died. As she lay dying, she named the boy Son of My Suffering, but Jacob called him Benjamin. Rachel was buried on the road to Ephrath, a district of Bethlehem, and Jacob set up a rock on her grave to honor her. That rock is still there today. Then Israel, also called Jacob, continued his journey. He camped just south of Migdal Eder. While Israel was in that land, Reuben had physical relations with Israel's slave woman Bilhah, and Israel heard about it. Jacob had 12 sons. He had 6 sons by his wife Leah. Reuben was his first son. Then Leah had Simeon, Levi, Judah, Issachar, and Zebulun. He had 2 sons by his wife Rachel, Joseph and Benjamin. He had 2 sons by Rachel's slave girl Bilhah, Dan and Naphtali. And he had 2 sons by Leah's slave girl Zilpah, Gad and Asher. These are Jacob's sons who were born in northwest Mesopotamia. Jacob went to his father Isaac at Mamre near Hebron. This is where Abraham and Isaac had lived. Isaac lived 180 years. So Isaac breathed his last breath and died when he was very old. And his sons Esau and Jacob buried him. So Jacob, also called Israel, took all he had and started his trip. He went to Beersheba. There he offered sacrifices to the God of his father Isaac. During the night, God spoke to Israel in a vision. He said, "Jacob, Jacob." And Jacob answered, "Here I am." Then God said, "I am God, the God of your father. Don't be afraid to go to Egypt. I will make your descendants a great nation there. I will go to Egypt with you, and I will bring you out of Egypt again. Joseph's own hands will close your eyes when you die." Then Jacob left Beersheba. The sons of Israel loaded their father, their children, and their wives. They put them in the wagons the king of Egypt had sent. They also took their farm animals and everything they had gotten in Canaan. So Jacob went to Egypt with all his descendants. He took his sons and grandsons, his daughters and granddaughters. He took all his family to Egypt with him. Jacob sent Judah ahead of him to see Joseph in Goshen. Then Jacob and his people came into the land of Goshen. Joseph prepared his chariot and went to meet his father Israel in Goshen. As soon as Joseph saw his father, he hugged his neck, and he cried there for a long time. Then Israel said to Joseph, "Now I am ready to die. I have seen your face, and I know that you are still alive." Joseph said to his brothers and his father's family, "I will go and tell the king you are here. I will say, 'My brothers and my father's family have left the land of Canaan. They have come here to me. They are shepherds and take care of farm animals. And they have brought their flocks and their herds and everything they own with them.' When the king calls you, he will ask, 'What work do you do?' This is what you should tell him. 'We, your servants, have taken care of farm animals all our lives. Our ancestors did the same thing.' Then the king will allow you to settle in the land of Goshen. This is away from the Egyptians. They don't like to be near shepherds." Joseph went in to the king and said, "My father and my brothers have arrived from Canaan. They have their flocks and herds and everything they own with them. They are now in the land of Goshen." Joseph chose 5 of his brothers to introduce to the king. The king said to the brothers, "What work do you do?" And they said to him, "We, your servants, are shepherds. Our ancestors were also shepherds." They said to the king, "We have come to live in this land. There is no grass in the land of Canaan for our animals to eat. The hunger is very terrible there. So please allow us to live in the land of Goshen." Then the king said to Joseph, "Your father and your brothers have come to you. You may choose any place in Egypt for them to live. Give your father and your brothers the best land. Let them live in the land of Goshen. And if any of them are skilled shepherds, put them in charge of my sheep and cattle." Then Joseph brought in his father Jacob and introduced him to the king. And Jacob blessed the king. Then the king said to Jacob, "How old are you?" Jacob said to him, "My life has been spent wandering from place to place. It has been short, filled with trouble. I have lived only 130 years. My ancestors lived much longer than I." Then Jacob blessed the king and left. Joseph obeyed the king. He gave his father and brothers the best land in Egypt. It was near the city of Ramesses. And Joseph gave his father, his brothers, and everyone who lived with them the food they needed. The hunger became worse, and there was no food anywhere in the land. The land of Egypt and the land of Canaan became very poor because of this. Joseph collected all the money that was to be found in Egypt and Canaan. People paid him this money for the grain they were buying. He brought that money to the king's palace. After some time, the people in Egypt and Canaan had no money left. So they went to Joseph and said, "Please give us food. Our money is gone. If we don't eat, we will die here in front of you." Joseph answered, "Since you have no money, give me your farm animals. I will give you food in return." So people brought their farm animals to Joseph, and he gave them food in exchange for their horses, sheep, cattle, and donkeys. So he kept them alive by trading food for their farm animals that year. The next year the people came to Joseph and said, "You know we have no money left, and all our animals belong to you. We have nothing left except our bodies and our land. Surely both we and our land will die here in front of you. Buy us and our land in exchange for food, and we will be slaves to the king, together with our land. Give us seed to plant. Then we will live and not die, and the land will not become a desert." So Joseph bought all the land in Egypt for the king. Every Egyptian sold Joseph his field, because the hunger was very great. So the land became the king's, and Joseph made the people slaves from one end of Egypt to the other. The only land he did not buy was the land the priests owned. They did not need to sell their land because the king paid them for their work. So they had money to buy food. Joseph said to the people, Now I have bought you and your land for the king, so I will give you seed, and you can plant your fields. At harvest time you must give 1/5 to the king. You may keep 4/5 for yourselves. Use it as seed for the field, and as food for yourselves, your families, and your children." The people said, "You have saved our lives. If you like, we will become slaves of the king." So Joseph made a law in Egypt, which continues today. 1/5 of everything from the land belongs to the king. The only land the king did not get was the priest's land. The Israelites continued to live in the land of Goshen in Egypt. There they got possessions. They had many children and grew in number. Jacob, also called Israel, lived in Egypt 17 years. So he lived to be 147 years old. Israel knew he soon would die. So he called his son Joseph to him. He said to Joseph, "If you love me, put your hand under my leg. Promise me you will not bury me in Egypt. When I die, carry me out of Egypt. Bury me where my ancestors are buried." Joseph answered, "I will do as you say." Then Jacob said, "Promise me." And Joseph promised him that he would do this. Then Israel worshipped as he leaned on the top of his walking stick. Sometime later, Joseph learned that his father was very sick. So he took his 2 sons Manasseh and Ephraim and went to his father. When Joseph arrived, someone told Jacob, also called Israel, "Your son Joseph has come to see you." Jacob was weak, so he used all his strength and sat up on his bed. Then Jacob said to Joseph, "God all-powerful appeared to me at Luz in the land of Canaan. God blessed me there. He said to me, 'I will give you many children. I will make you the father of many peoples, and I will give your descendants this land forever.' Your 2 sons were born here in Egypt before I came. They will be counted as my own sons. Ephraim and Manasseh will be my sons, just as Reuben and Simeon are my sons. But if you have other children, they will be your own. But their land will be part of the land given to Ephraim and Manasseh. When I came from northwest Mesopotamia, Rachel died in the land of Canaan. We were traveling toward Ephrath. This made me very sad. I buried her there beside the road to Ephrath. Today, Ephrath is Bethlehem." Then Israel saw Joseph's sons. He said, "Who are these boys?" Joseph said to his father, "They are my sons. God has given them to me here in Egypt." Israel said, "Bring your sons to me so I may bless them." At this time, Israel's eyesight was bad because he was old. So Joseph brought the boys close to him. Israel kissed the boys and put his arms around them. He said to Joseph, "I thought I would never see you alive again. And now God has let me see you and also your children." Then Joseph moved his sons off Israel's lap. Joseph bowed face down to the ground. He put Ephraim on his right side and Manasseh on his left. So Ephraim was near Israel's left hand, and Manasseh was near Israel's right hand. Joseph brought the boys close to Israel, but Israel crossed his arms. He put his right hand on the head of Ephraim, who was younger. He put his left hand on the head of Manasseh, but he was the firstborn son, and Israel blessed Joseph and said, "My ancestors Abraham and Isaac served our God, and like a shepherd God has led me all my life. He was the angel who saved me from all my troubles. Now I pray that he will bless these boys. May my name be known through these boys. And may the names of my ancestors, Abraham and Isaac, be known through them. May they have many descendants on the earth." Joseph saw that his father put his right hand on Ephraim's head. Joseph didn't like it, so he took hold of his father's hand. He wanted to move it from Ephraim's head to Manasseh's head. Joseph said to his father, "You are doing it wrong, father. Manasseh is the firstborn son. Put your right hand on his head." But his father refused and said, "I know, my son, I know. Manasseh will be great and have many descendants, but his younger brother will be greater, and his descendants will be enough to make a nation." So Israel blessed them that day. He said, "When a blessing is given in Israel, they will say, 'May God make you like Ephraim and Manasseh.'" In this way he made Ephraim greater than Manasseh. Then Israel said to Joseph, "Look at me, I am about to die, but God will be with you. He will take you back to the land of your fathers. I have given you something that I did not give your brothers. I have given you the land of Shechem that I took from the Amorite people. I took it with my sword and my bow." Then Jacob called his sons to him, which are the 12 tribes of Israel. He said, "Come here to me. I will tell you what will happen to you in the future." He gave each son the blessing that was right for him. Then Israel gave them a command. He said, "I am about to die. Bury me with my ancestors in the cave in the field of Ephron the Hittite. That cave is in the field of Machpelah east of Mamre. It is in the land of Canaan. Abraham bought that field from Ephron the Hittite for a burying place. Abraham and Sarah, his wife, are buried there. Isaac and Rebekah, his wife, are buried there. I buried my wife Leah there. The field and the cave in it were bought from the Hittite people." After Jacob finished talking to his sons, he lay down. He put his feet back on the bed, took his last breath, and died. When Jacob died, Joseph hugged his father and cried over him and kissed him. He commanded the doctors who served him to prepare his father's body. So the doctors prepared Jacob's body to be buried. It took the doctors 40 days to prepare his body. This was the usual time it took. And the Egyptians had a time of sorrow for Jacob. It lasted 70 days. When this time of sorrow had ended, Joseph spoke to the king's officers. He said, "If you think well of me, please tell this to the king. When my father was near death, I made a promise to him. I promised I would bury him in a cave in the land of Canaan. This is a burial place that he cut out for himself. So please let me go and bury my father. Then I will return." The king answered, "Keep your promise. Go and bury your father." So Joseph went to bury his father. All the king's officers, the elders of his court, and all the elders of Egypt went with Joseph. Everyone who lived with Joseph and his brothers went with him, and everyone who lived with his father also went. They left only their children, their flocks, and their herds in the land of Goshen. Men in chariots and on horses also went with Joseph. It was a very large group. They went to the threshing floor of Atad, east of the Jordan River. There they cried loudly and bitterly for Jacob, also called Israel. Joseph's time of sorrow continued for 7 days. The people that lived in Canaan saw the sadness at the threshing floor of Atad. They said, "Those Egyptians are showing great sorrow." So now that place is named Sorrow of the Egyptians. So Jacob's sons did what their father commanded. They carried his body to the land of Canaan. They buried it in the cave in the field of Machpelah near Mamre. Abraham had bought this cave and field from Ephron the Hittite. He bought the cave to use as a burial place. After Joseph buried his father, he returned to Egypt. His brothers and everyone who had gone with him to bury his father also returned. After Jacob died, Joseph's brothers said, "What if Joseph is still angry with us? We did many wrong things to him. What if he plans to pay us back?" So they sent a message to Joseph. It said, "Your father gave this command before he died. He said to us, 'You have done wrong. You have sinned and done evil to Joseph. Tell Joseph to forgive you, his brothers. So now, Joseph, we beg you to forgive our wrong. We are the servants of the God of your father." When Joseph received the message, he cried, and his brothers went to him and bowed low before him. They said, "We are your slaves." Then Joseph said to them, "Don't be afraid. Can I do what only God can do? You meant to hurt me, but God turned your evil into good. It was to save the lives of many people, and it is being done. So don't be afraid. I will take care of you and your children." So Joseph comforted his brothers and spoke kind words to them. Joseph continued to live in Egypt with all his father's family. He died when he was 110 years old. During Joseph's life, Ephraim had children and grandchildren, and Joseph's son Manasseh had a son named Machir. Joseph accepted Machir's children as his own. Joseph said to his brothers, "I am about to die, but God will take care of you. He will lead you out of this land. He will lead you to the land he promised to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob." Then Joseph had the sons of Israel make a promise. He said, "Promise me that you will carry my bones with you out of Egypt." Joseph died when he was 110 years old. Doctors prepared his body for burial. Then they put him in a coffin in Egypt. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe for more of our videos. See you next time. Bye for now.